A diffusion language model builds its answer token by token, unmasking one slot at a time. At inference, no one hands it a clock. There is no time step embedding, no countdown. The model never gets told how far along it is. Yet buried in its residual stream, layer after layer, there is a signal that tracks exactly that, how much of the answer it has already produced. A team at Sapienza Rome and EPFL found this hidden clock, proved you can steer it, and showed it lives on a clean, low-dimensional parabola. And it is not a pure counter. It is tangled up with which tokens the model wants to say. Start with what a masked diffusion language model is. Unlike an autoregressive model that predicts the next token, a diffusion LM starts from a sequence of masked tokens and iteratively unmasks them. LL-LADA and DREAM are two such models. Crucially, at inference, the model receives no explicit time step. It just sees some masked, some unmasked tokens. So the researchers defined an observable proxy, tau, the fraction of response tokens already unmasked. 0 means fully masked. 1 means done. The question becomes, does the model internally represent tau even though it was never told? To find out, they fit a small neural probe, a 5-layer MLP, at every single layer of the model, reading only one token's hidden state, trying to predict the current tau. 300 training examples, 20 epochs, cheap. Then the real test, mean activation vectors. Bin the denoising process into 100 bins, average the hidden states at each bin and layer. That gives 3,200 mean vectors for LL-LADA, one for every layer and progress step. If the probe and the mean vectors agree, the signal is real, not noise. Now the causal move. If this tau signal actually means something, then editing it should move the model's own sense of progress. The steering rule, take the current step's mean vector out, put a target step's mean vector in. Push tau higher, pretend the model is further along than it is, and you should see confidence rise and entropy fall, exactly as if the model believes it is nearly done. Pull tau lower and confidence should drop. A norm-matched random perturbation of the same size produces only about half the effect. The tau direction is a genuinely sensitive subspace, not just any big nudge. First result, the signal exists. The probe decodes tau from a single token's hidden state with r squared above 0.5 at every layer of both models. For LL-LADA, across all 32 layers, the all-token r squared ranges from 0.74 at the edges up to 0.94 in the middle. DREAM is even cleaner, 0.83 to 0.98, and tau is not tucked into the masked tokens. It is spread across the whole residual stream. The model carries a running estimate of its own progress everywhere. Second result, steering works, and then breaks in a telling way. On LL-LADA, steering tau barely moves downstream benchmarks. GSM-8K stays within a few points. But DREAM is fragile. Push DREAM's internal tau all the way to 100, tell it the answer is basically complete, and GSM-8K collapses from 68.8 down to 23.1. The cause, the model starts emitting the end-of-sequence token prematurely. Once one appears, a diffusion LM keeps emitting them. Tau is not a content-free counter. It is entangled with the token distribution itself. Third, the geometry. The mean vectors do not scatter through high dimensions. Principal component analysis puts over 96% of the variance in just two components. Project every layer onto those two axes, and they all trace the same parabola, a single curved trajectory through activation space, layer after layer. Steering within just those two dimensions fully reproduces the effect. The model's hidden clock is, essentially, a two-dimensional arc, on a scope. First, only two diffusion LMs were tested, LL-LADA and DREAM, both trained the same way, so generalization to other diffusion families is untested. Second, the end-of-sequence collapse mechanism is shown by inspection, not quantified. Third, only sequence-level effects were measured, no token-level analysis. And the paper does not identify the actual circuit that builds or updates tau. It establishes the signal exists and matters. The mechanism is future work. The takeaway. Diffusion language models are not explicitly told how far along they are, yet they maintain an internal, steerable, low-dimensional estimate of their own denoising progress. It acts like a clock, but a clock tangled with what the model wants to say. That is a new variable inside these models and a new handle. Subscribe for the next paper breakdown.